Hello, everybody. This is John Banda and my co-host Nyasha Ngundu, and this is the Banda and Ngundu podcast. So tonight we have our guest, the amazing talent, Kudakwashe Rwizi, who is a comic book artist, also an animator, and lately has been animating a lot. And we're both going to interview him, and you're gonna get to find out more about who he is, what he does, and how he's come from just drawing to now animating.
That was the first intro ever. That's not how the intro. That's not how we rest it. It's supposed to be.
Wow, you're already wrecking me. So you want me to do a retake? You want me to do a retake?
Exactly. The BNN podcast with DJ, BJ, and the Anime Prophet. That's how it's supposed to go. BNN podcast.
Wow.
DJ, BJ, Anime Prophet. That's new thing.
You see, like, I literally have a co-host who wants to destroy me. Like, actually, I made an effort to just do this introduction, and he's already destroying me.
I guess it's fine. Okay.
There's no loyalty here.
The BNN podcast with your co-host, the Anime Prophet Elisha, and DJ BJ, with our special guest of the day, Kay.
DJ BJ.
Yeah, he thinks my specialty is doing blowjobs.
You know, I think it would be great if you just left all of this in the podcast.
Yeah, sure. We'll leave it. Just know that it's not a toxic tension between me and my co-host. There's like big
Yeah.
that's competing. So someone wants to be the bigger phallus. I don't know why. Our intention is just to interview a person and find out, like, who he is. Anyways, so let's not waste any more time. Kudakwashe Rwizi, introduce yourself. So, who are you?
Well, like you said,
what are you?
So what are you? He's from Krypton.
Well, I'm not the Anime Prophet Elisha. Good name, by the way. I'm just Kudakwashe Rwizi, an animator, an illustrator, comic book artist, writer, character designer, human.
So in other words, you're a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Exactly. Yeah.
So a generalist, pretty much. That's what they'll call you, like in the working world. Like you're a generalist.
Yeah, that's what they'll call me. Yeah.
You just think PC. He's a jack of all trades and a master of none. So we just call him Jack. The new name is Jack.
Jack. Okay.
You know, like most action movies in like the 90s had a Jack, so I'm cool with that.
All right, cool. Anyways, let's not deter you. Okay, so you animate, you draw, you do character designs. How did you end up doing this? Like, when did this start? Like, how did you get into actually, making art?
Wow. I just started, like, I think it's one of the best ways I know how to express myself, because my imagination is very overactive, and whenever I'm alone, I just find myself coming up with stories and dialogues and everything. So it made sense to just channel that into art. Otherwise, I would be just talking to myself all day, every day.
Yeah, and if you're doing that, people would think you're crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, they already think I'm crazy, so imagine if I started doing that, like, in public.
Then I think you'd then get into a different trade. Maybe you'd become like a seer, or someone who predicts the future or something like that. It could be your trade. The question is the seer.
That is if the other voices I'm talking to can actually predict the future.
Okay. All right, cool. So basically, that was your means of expressing yourself. So does that?
Yeah.
You actually struggle with expressing yourself, like communicating verbally with other people?
Yeah, very much actually.
Oh, okay.
That's why I like before I started getting really serious with art, I was a writer, not like a professional one, but I loved writing above everything else.
Oh,
So
that's
I
cool.
would just find myself writing just anything, stories and
Mm.
all of that. And eventually I realized that I wasn't going to become an exceptional writer and I still needed to express myself. So I
Okay.
decided to add art so they could kind of go together and bring out my worlds in a better way, I guess.
Oh, cool. I've read some of the stuff you've written. It is quite captivating. Like, is it? Let me not. I'm forgetting the titles, but there was this one issue that you did, one about the girl being stalked, and it was some racy subject matter. But
Yeah.
but I did find it interesting because, like, I think the female character was being accused of being like a thought or a slut. Like the dude who's stalking her, but then
Yeah.
he then does a comeback like, hey, in the first place I was like never really a good person, so you kind of put me on the pedestal. I actually sucked. So the thinking I was awesome. So yeah, it was interesting. It's like sometimes I'm just thinking people like to shame people like being shit. So hey,
Yeah.
for thinking that they were better.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, let's okay. So you started off writing. So in terms of writing stories, you're writing comic book scripts. No, exactly where you're writing.
It was just stories,
Okay.
and then I would get particularly creative with my essays at school, and I remember most times my teachers would like chastise me for making it too creative.
I mean, too fantastical.
Yeah, like this is not realistic enough.
Okay.
It's just supposed to be like a Christmas themed essay, and now you're taking it too far. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so from there, that's when I started drawing at the back of my books, and yeah, it just kind of spiraled from there.
Okay. So you
And teachers are assholes. How can they say that? Like, how can they say that they're being too creative and stuff like that? This is the reason why we do not go anywhere as a country, because we've got dumbass teachers who be like, you're too creative. That's the whole point of being creative. Like, how can you be too creative? Like, you see, they want us to write tales of that. If they want us to be realistic, we can make realistic songs. Stories like dad got over a Christmas war and knocked up her mom and beat up the wife and kids. Ended up having an orgy with all of them. That's something realistic to creative. That's just
okay, man. I don't think a child would want to tell such stories. I think if you wrote that, it would raise more questions. You'll be now less concerned about his creativity, and they'll just say, "Hey, what's going on at your house?"
Yeah.
And you never know. Maybe the teacher's like, I'm actually interested in the action. What? Your parents have orgies?
Man, it would get awkward so fast.
Yeah. And then you're like, hey, mom, my teacher, they're like, I'm here. Like, my teacher wants to see you guys. It's like, oh, it's good. And then your parents are like, no, what are you talking about? You don't do that. Maybe you should change schools. Your teacher is disturbing.
That would actually be a really good idea for a story.
So I've inspired you, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyways, so you started drawing on the back of books, and from there, okay. So I know you're talking about like your progression from writing to drawing, but now I want to know like start drawing seriously, like, well, because like I'm at least from what I've noticed, you kind of like want to take it to a higher level and possibly like make a living with your art. So when did you start taking it seriously?
I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, right now you're how old?
23.
Okay, so when you were 18.
Yeah, when I was about 18.
So like, is this like when you were upper six, just after A levels?
I was held back a year because of some health issues, so I was in lower six.
Oh, okay.
So because of my,
I was about to think that you were held back because you're a dumbass.
Don't be mean, man.
I think I am a dumbass, but not academically speaking.
Okay, just interpersonal.
Yeah, and like street smarts. I'm a dumbass in that regard. Okay. But academically, I was actually decent because I never studied and I was always sick. But school kind of always went well. But then I realized that I wouldn't actually be able to learn enough to like learn a trade or get a real job in quotes. So art was like, yeah.
Why did you think that? Was it because of you getting sick a lot?
Yeah, because it was really constant since I was like 13.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 18, it was pretty clear that okay, this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Okay. So maybe I should make other plans. And I noticed that I was particularly interested and driven in storytelling and art, so I just thought, why not?
All right. So, okay, I wanted to ask you this. I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, but you suffer from epilepsy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As someone who has to deal with that kind of condition, how has it affected you? Like you said that it has affected you in terms of like your prospects for the future, but also as an artist, how has it affected you? Like, how do you deal with it?
It's actually weird, but I think in terms of my art, it's a good thing because somehow I used to get more creative when I was sick because I had a lot of just resentment and negative emotion because nothing was going well. So I would also channel that into my art and I would like what I would create. So for a long time, my art was really fueled by just all the stuff that I was really angry that I couldn't do or I couldn't become. It's different now, but yeah, a lot of my stories have a lot of those undertones of like hopelessness and being sick or like depression. It's really shaped the way I tell my stories or the things I focus in my stories. So, yeah, it's safe to say it's always going to be a part of my storytelling techniques.
Okay, like a theme.
Yeah, exactly.
It's present because usually, like when people tell stories, like I'll mention filmmakers, like for instance, Anderson. Like most of like his films, they have a similar structure in terms of how it plays out. Yeah, but anyways, I guess Yeah, it's interesting. I like the fact that you overcame like health condition and you managed to make something out of it. Um, exactly. Like if it was art, what would you have like rather pursued if it wasn't art or writing? Like, did you have anything in particular you wanted to do?
Yeah, I was. I still
I'm gonna
am.
be a porn star.
Excuse me. No. I was and still am interested a lot in like science and technology.
Okay.
Of course, I'm never gonna pursue it professionally, but it's just very interesting to me.
Okay. So, do you see
It's
yourself making science fiction stories?
definitely.
Okay. Oh, that'd be cool. Will you be like
Maybe
the next what's the name, that Harvard guy, the Scientologist dude?
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, the L. Ron Harvard of our time. You make a story and people lose their shit and start a religion.
Nah, that would be too much.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's Dianetics. Let's after reading a novel. That's a novelty right there, pun intended.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, you managed to overcome like the issues, your health issues, and you managed to make art. So okay, so let's. So you said 18. That's when you started to draw seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you were drawing, like I know that you're into comic books, right? Western comic books.
Yeah.
Okay. So how is like Western comic books like affected you? How has it influenced your art, your art style, or how you perceive comics?
I think more than Western comics, I'm really influenced by the things that Western comics focus on, like superheroes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I more than comics, I watch a lot of superhero movies and shows and series and cartoons and all of that. So I think it was cartoons first, and then I discovered that there's actually comics too. And then I would pursue comics, but here in Zim, it was really hard to get comics if you weren't like a rich kid who went to private school.
Yeah.
So I remember only reading comics from other people who owned them. And even then, it wasn't like a full experience. I think the first comic I owned, I think it was 2 years ago. The first comic I owned by myself.
No, that you actually bought from like isn't like a local one or something from abroad?
Well, when you say buy, it's tricky now.
Okay, that you managed to get a hold of. Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't. I thought you went to private school though.
No, I didn't. I don't think Eastridge Primary School is a private school. No, it's not a private school.
Okay, what about high school? Where did you go?
High school, it was Churchill, which also isn't a private school.
Yeah, Churchill. And I know that back in I think are they still doing it where like Prince Edward and Churchill would always have a fight during basketball?
I think it kind of started dying off in my day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because people were kind of.
And I'm thinking of singing that weird War Cry song, but then I'm just not up to it right now.
Exactly. I think that's the mentality that was prevalent in my day, because on one hand it was sort of like tradition to fight the opposing school, but like no one has time for that, no one has energy for that.
Yeah.
So like only like hardcore, just
Delinquent.
yes, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Delinquents. That they would probably try to do that, but I didn't see a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. So anyways, getting back to, so you like heroes or like hero stories?
Oh yeah. Hero
So
stories.
so what about hero stories because I have read like comic books, although I'm not more like a manga guy, so I read mostly manga. But for the most part, I'm a DC fan. I enjoy reading DC comics more than reading Marvel.
Same.
Although, if I'm being honest, I haven't read like a lot of Marvel comics, so I'll probably need like recommendations for me to get over my bias. Because, like, yeah, I think I read like Tin Corpse, which is pretty good, and also the stuff that Geoff Jones has written. And Scott Snyder, he's a writer, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Scott Snyder.
Yeah. Anyway, so but yeah, okay. Let me not make this about me. This is an interview of yours. So how? Okay, what exactly about like superhero stories appeals to you? I mean, like apart from the fact that it's in the zeitgeist now, heroes are popular.
Ah, man, it's actually a tough question. I've never really thought about that. I'm gonna try to explain it, but I don't think it's gonna be like an easy road. I think one of the first superheroes I was exposed to was Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Superman, those two. I think they were my first superheroes. Like way back in the day. Either through cartoons or the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies or the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
Yeah, the real Superman.
Yeah.
Screw that Zack Snyder shit. I'm sorry.
There was just something about, I don't know, man, like people wearing costumes and just going out there and doing shit. It was awesome. It still is awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I just find it fantastical. Like just the whole suits and costumes and code names and having a double life and struggling with that double life. It's particularly that I'm very interested in. I think that's why I like DC more than Marvel, because even though Marvel has like the better movies, especially now.
Yeah, that's true. No one can argue.
There's no like dual identity when it comes to Marvel heroes. Everyone knows Tony Stark is Iron Man. Everyone knows who Captain America is. Like, they don't wear masks. And I mean, they have good stories.
With the exception to maybe Spider-Man, because he's so unlike those other guys. Because Tony Stark is a rich guy, so do whatever the hell he wants. So
right now, mainly like the main superheroes, they don't wear masks. But back then, Spider-Man, they didn't know who he was, and like he just always had bad luck, and I could relate to that. Like I know a lot of people could. And like Superman was this Superman, but then he was also a nerd and an outcast, and he was just a weird dude, and I could relate to that. So
it was more like a nerd Chad, because for the most part, because
like a huge nerd, a buff nerd.
Yeah, because like in all his depictions, he's never a small guy. So which is, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit critical, but if you look that good, chances of smashing day and night. So I'm just saying. there's a bit of a what's it called, a loophole or plot hole actually in terms of characterization. Because all I know is that if you look that good, chances are you're getting girls.
Yeah.
Mm.
But maybe they just say he hunches and he's always wearing a suit, so they can't really see his muscles. But I don't know. He's like 6'4".
Yeah.
So I think even if he hunches, he's still well above 6 feet.
Yeah. Anyways, it's a comic book. It shouldn't be like too hard.
I mean, if we start questioning it, it falls apart immediately.
Yeah, it does. It falls apart hard. Yeah. Anyways, so basically, you like the fact that in DC they have the dual identity, because it's integral.
Yeah.
Where they have most of these guys, like everyone knows, like for the most part, the popular guys, like everyone knows their name. Like they don't really have to hide their identity because, well, they don't really need to, because Tony Stark or Bruce Banner is Bruce Banner, like literally.
Yeah.
Like
but the only struggle
something in DC though, like these guys have dual identities, but the one that's the most stupid right now is Superman. Like all the guys is put on glasses and put on and put back his hair. And Lex Luthor is supposed to be one of the smartest people on earth, and he can't just deduce that this Clark Kent guy. He's always been doing interviews. He's a big guy. All I have to do is just if I just remove the glasses and thing in his hair, he's Superman. Like that is the dumbest disguise. Like I do not know how the world does not know that this nigga is Clark Kent. Or are they playing along with Clark? Are they just pulling it?
I think we've gone back to that point that it falls apart as soon as we start questioning it.
Yeah, I mean, these are stories.
You can't quit,
These are stories that are made for children. Let's not forget. As much as DC dark and mature, but these comics were made for children. So there's a bit.
And I think also, like, if you consider the time it was made, like no one really thought about all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But now the culture's really grown and everyone knows it all. So now they're like, and I mean, they're right, but still, like, everything, you can poke holes in anything now. Like, anyone can poke holes in anything. And
I think also it has also affected even the...
Another thing which...
I was saying, like, I think it has also affected even, like, the character designs. Because if you look at modern comics, like, the way the suits are designed, like, you can tell, like, they're considering stitching and where it would go, seaming and stuff like that. And
like, whether the guy wears an underwear on top of his clothes, that stuff.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. It's the most. I think that
I also heard that you are also a CW fan. Like, a little birdie told me that you're a CW fan. Why are you gay?
Hardcore.
And why do you like CW stuff? Like, besides, Flash was decent, Arrow was okay, but then Batwoman, come on, man. Come on.
Well, the thing is, I don't like CW shows. I like the characters that they portray, and by that I just mean Flash, because I think it's the only one I watch. I don't watch Supergirl. I don't watch Batwoman.
I thought. Oh, okay. Because the birdie told me that you literally stuck off all these CW shows, like hardcore.
Nah. I completely agree that they're really cheesy and they're not ashamed of the demographic they cater to. But I don't really care about that. I just come for the Flash and I watch the Flash and I go. It's really simple.
Pay for the Flash.
He's a really good character. I'm all about the speed and the lightning.
Cool.
That's another thing I'm really interested in. I don't know why, but I'm just really into speed and lightning. So pretty
But
much
because
every
in Zimbabwe,
character-
and in Zimbabwe there's not enough electricity, so obviously fascinated by niggas like to run, so niggas run, and then there's no electricity. So no brainer.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
And I used to run too when I was a kid before I got sick. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Alright.
I guess you could say it goes hand in hand.
I think we kind of went off on a tangent. So, okay, you're saying you like the dual identity of DC characters, right?
Yeah. Like with Marvel heroes nowadays, they mostly just struggle with beating the bad guy.
Oh, okay.
But with the DC characters or Spider-Man, even though he's not DC, on top of like trying to defeat a villain, he's having girl trouble, he's having trouble with his aunt, or like they have human interactions. As much as people like to say DC is the more dehumanized one, they're the ones that stick to the whole interpersonal relationship thing. Like I don't know why it's still necessary, but the heroes, they make it a point to hang on to their secret identities, even though sometimes it just seems unnecessary.
Yeah, I guess maybe they still have a lot to lose.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, because like if you remember, was it Iron Man 3? When Iron Man like gives away his location.
Oh yeah.
Then they show up. And you're like, oh, yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah, that was a dick move too.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so all right. So we established like you like the fact that in DC Comics, at least they have to deal with the internal struggle of having a double life.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So that fascinates you.
Yeah, I just discovered why that relates to me, because it's kind of how I am.
Okay.
Because I mean I do okay with people, but generally I'm not comfortable with many people. So I have very specific sides that I show to people. So if you, for example, if you speak to people who I learnt with, and then you talk to people that I hang out with every day, they'll tell you two completely different versions of me. Even though I may have befriended both groups, I would often act differently with both of them. So it was kind of like a dual identity as well.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So was it because what you're very weary of other people? Is it like a defense mechanism? Or have you been hurt before? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit personal, but
Nah, it's okay.
what, you've been hurt by people before, or why
I don't
like?
I don't think I had that concept when I was like 7 years old. I've just always been socially awkward, so.
Oh, okay.
So I would have my small crowd that would look past the social awkwardness, and
like people you're used to hanging out with.
Yeah, like, and there are also people who like don't really care if you're weird. They just try to see what's underneath, and then they find that it's a very loud person, but he's hidden under many layers, and they befriend you. But most people aren't like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But sometimes people cry when they peel off the layers.
Exactly.
All right. That's interesting. At least I get a bit of how DC Comics like appeals to you. So you're now drawing comics. You went from writing to drawing. So when did you start animating? Because animating, I think, as far as I'm concerned, like if you're getting into animating, now you're like pushing yourself because it's no longer about still image. Now you have to like draw like a key.
It's
and
100
betweens.
images.
And I also think that if you're very good at animating, it will also drastically improve you as an artist or an illustrator. Because
it already has. It's amazing, actually.
Because I think most likely, especially when it comes to like drawing movement, like your gesture drawing would improve, like.
Because you have to figure out how the body moves in which way exactly, and that's very helpful.
Okay, so you said that so you got into animation, okay, so when did you get into animation? Because like you started drawing.
When?
Yeah. Was it like at the same time when you're drawing comics, or was it after? It's like based on what you've said, like you started drawing comics seriously when you're 18. So when did like start?
Animation, I started a bit early last year.
When I was last year.
Yeah. So early last year, I had this character design job, and I had to make character turnarounds. So to make sure that what are they called, the values, the values are consistent, or the proportions are consistent, I would make turnarounds. So I remember that's when I started animating.
Was it a company that you were doing the character designs for?
Yeah. It was this church in the US. They were making a kids show.
Okay.
So I was the character designer.
Yeah, actually, you did some work for the Lord. Oh, you're more saint. Right.
So yeah, that's when I started practicing sort of animation.
Okay.
And then I started doing it by myself in October
last year.
But yeah.
Okay.
But I initially, like before I even started comics or writing or any of that, I just sort of had a dream that I wanted to have like my own show, and it had to be a cartoon.
Okay.
But I just never put that into action until last year. So
okay.
Yeah.
What gave you the confidence to start animating? Because like, okay, maybe I'm pretty sure since you've done it, you understand the difficulty bar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So okay, in your own opinion, what's harder, drawing, still image, animating?
Animating for sure.
Yeah. I think
harder.
That it would be harder because, if you're if let's say an artist who's a tendency of having bad habits, like you like your comfort zone, you would just pose that you can do well, and no one will throw shade at you because you can execute well. But when you're not, you'll maybe animate someone doing like a backflip or kicking, not to account for all those other things that you would never want to draw, but you have to draw them well. Because wanky or janky, like do show. Yeah.
That's the worst part. You put it really well, like drawing the stuff you don't want to draw. Because when you're just doing still poses in comics, poses that you can't pull off, and you avoid those. But with animation, like you can't escape. There's
no escape.
Yeah.
So would you say, because I was thinking, like, would you say animation, like learning animation would be good, especially for forcing you to like draw like other poses, or like is a way of getting growth as an artist? Do you think it would help?
Yeah.
Because I've noticed guys who can animate during their drawing skills are like, at least their figure drawing or their draftsmanship are like at another level. Like there's confidence. like in the way there's no fear.
Yeah, it's really true. I hear people say that doing traditional animation it makes you a better artist because you're constantly drawing. Like if you make a comic, let's say it has to be 20 pages, you can finish it in maybe 2 weeks if it has no color, and that's just 20 drawings in 2 weeks. But if you're animating in a day, you can do more than 20 drawings a day.
Yeah,
that's more practice. You're failing faster.
Yeah,
and yeah, it really flattens the curve of learning.
Yeah,
because when I started animating, and then I kind of took a break, and then I went back to comics. I just noticed that I was better. Like it was easier.
Yeah.
But then I noticed that people were actually interested in giving me money to animate. So yeah,
which is crazy, right? The thing you're doing initially. I'm guessing that you don't, apart from commissions, you don't per se make money from comics, right?
No, I only make money from comics at conventions.
At conventions, okay.
So that's like once a year.
Okay, which if you're talking to, if you're like a dad with kids, it would be ashamed of you. Like what?
Yeah, it's horribly impractical.
Yeah, it's horribly impractical. All right, so but I know that you also make money from commissions, right? From like some people want you to draw, like because I've seen you've done like posters, for people, like portraits and so forth.
Yeah, it was portraits. When my dad bought me a tablet, that's when I started getting better at digital art, and then more people started paying me for portraits.
Okay.
But you gain more money if you're animating. I've noticed. It's a secret. Don't tell anyone. But yeah, like people really like animation.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and also I think I'm pretty sure if we're going, I think because like in animation, unless you're in Japan, because not in Japan, like they get underpaid, like adjusted to like their economy. But I know that animators, at least from what I've heard, like in Western countries, they make a bit better.
Yeah.
So they can live.
They actually make a living.
Yeah, they don't have to live with their parents. They can actually make enough to maybe not live in the best parts of the country, but I guess what like position you have in the company or in the organization as an animator. If you're like maybe top level, maybe you can make more. If you're like a junior, then you get junior pay.
Yeah. Like I'm sure directors get a lot.
Yeah, it depends. You'd be surprised because like it depends on what if it's like a first time director versus someone who has like an experience. If you have experience, you can use your clout to bargain for better pay.
Yeah.
So if you're like a virgin when it comes to directing, they're like, not sure if you can pull this off. So here's what we're gonna pay you. All right, but yeah, it's interesting because I have also been thinking, because like I'm not an animator. The only thing that I can animate is motion graphics and After Effects. Because of work, because like when you do user interface and experience design, sometimes you have to do like mock-ups. You can do some of them in Adobe XD, like in animate, how the phone would actually function if you're using it. But you want to do more flashy, you need to use After Effects because After Effects is the more horsepower when it comes to doing like motion graphics. And
I
But one thing I think, yeah, generally, like as I was thinking, like in terms of like you animating, like I think if you can animate, you just be a better draftsman because you are forced.
Yeah.
You're forced. Like, there's no way. If you want to draw someone doing a backflip, you need to show all the angles of them turning and them kicking. You have to consider the principles of animation. You have to, like, the stretching, the pulling. Like, when an object goes down and it hits, then it has to like squash, then So there are a lot of things that you're learning that probably you're just illustrating, you wouldn't really notice.
I most of that stuff I wasn't aware of it when I was illustrating.
Yeah, because one thing I've come to learn, if you dabble into different disciplines, it can come up with a holistic way of actually making art. Because like high level, so at least from what I've noticed from people who do concept art for films, they understand photography, they understand for instance, people who do like concept art for film, they do a concept, they have to consider the lens. Because like if something is shot in 50mm lens, which is a 50mm lens is more close or akin to the human eye. If it's like 20mm, then it will be like a bit distorted, and that's when you have like that look a bit up close. If it's okay, so those are like short, like I think they're called wide lenses. Then if you got long lenses, those are the ones that I use like in most photography for fashion, etc. So usually like faces look a bit nicer and softer. You see, when you're now a concept artist, because you need to draw considering these things, because like things in film. So when you're now presenting these things, so this is like you would never think about it way before because you haven't been to that like industry. And so I think, I don't know, I feel like learning other disciplines, even if let's say, I know now you're making a living through animation, but if let's say you just wanted to do animation a bit and maybe draw comics maybe full time, going into other fields opens your mind. Like
it does.
Yeah, because I noticed like everything is just high level art is a combination of all the other disciplines being put into one thing, like design, movement, motion, gesture, all these. Anyways, I went off on a tangent, but I was just saying that the thing that you're doing is actually going to make you way better. I think make you better than people who you probably weren't as good as. Like you're going to probably exceed them because.
Yeah, you actually touched on something I wanted to mention, because as much as like learning animation helps me become a better comic book artist, it's also true in the reverse.
Okay.
Because like when you're making a comic book by yourself, you're the one who has to figure out the shots.
Yeah.
Like you're the director, you do the storyboards, you do everything. You're the director, the background artist, you're the everything.
Yeah.
So if you have a really good eye for like what looks great in film and all of that, and then you move to animation, I think you can bring something
to the table
in your animations.
Yeah, it reminds me, do you know this artist called Guez?
No.
You don't know Guez?
What's the spelling?
I think it's Guiez. I've posted some of, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but I posted some of like his work in the group. I'll like this interview, I'll share the work with you. But generally, if you look at his work, you can tell that this person understands cinematography, lighting,
Yeah.
everything you would expect in a professional film like setting. Like they get it. Then apart from those aspects, they also understand how to draw real world, how to render, how to so I think when you have all these disciplines from other fields, like all helping you, like literally it would just make you a better artist. You would just be way better. Because I don't know if you ever check out artist interviews from guys who worked on big movies, but a lot of those guys they know a lot of things. Like there's this guy who I always fanboy over called Mache Kusiara. A guy worked on The Last of Us, like the first one, and he also worked on a lot of we did like concept art for Ghost in the Shell, the one that had Scarlett Johansson. Even though it was particularly good movie, but we can't argue when it comes to the design. It really killed.
Yeah, it had its upsides.
Yeah, it had its upside. But basically, the guy is very good at digital painting. He can draw characters really well. Like, he can draw like manga style. He can draw realistic. He can do matte paintings. He knows how to do 3D. And his 3D isn't like Kia. It's not like meh. It's like so. And you can do like color grading. He can do video editing. He's not a very good animator, which shows like in his work, because if you compare, because usually if someone is specialized, they'll be way better than you because they do it every day, which is good. It will show that you're off. But most of these techniques that he's learning from, obviously you need to specialize. You need to have one thing that you're like, this is my core thing. But it's also take like principles from other disciplines to make your art better. Yeah,
and you really just combine that, you can make something really good.
Yeah, and I think what you're doing is actually, I think if you continue, I don't know if you're gonna end up picking up photography or maybe learning a bit of design, but if you add on to like knowledge of animation, I think you'll be a beast, like very soon. But of course, that depends on how much you can handle the workload.
I've been trying to like notice, especially since I met you. You're really passionate about film and all of like the technical stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember like ever since I met you, I've been really interested in like cinematography and
lighting,
shot composition and lighting.
Yeah, because like I'm not like generally for lighting, all you need to know is or at least in my opinion, like I'm still learning, but I have like people who are experienced around me who are kind of like giving me an idea of what to expect. But generally, you just need to know that there's your key light, your fill light, your backlight. And then you also have to understand that when it comes to lighting, if you have a small light source, it's usually hard. So you have a hard light that hits like your. And if you have like a white light source, basically meaning that it's like if it's huge, then it's usually soft. And that's how you play around. And of course, there's the stuff that you do with like grading, using complementary colors. Like there's a lot of things that you do in film for you to have like characters like pop out. You can make the background darker and they are well lit.
Yeah. Do you know this anime called what's it called? Brand New Animal?
Brand New Animal? No, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, DNA. It's a good one. Watch it.
Yeah.
BNA. I haven't even watched a full episode, but I think I've watched only half of the first episode, and the coloring it's so striking and vivid, and man, I don't know how to explain it. I remember when I watched it, I was working on my demo reel, and I put in my notes that in one of my demo reels I should experiment with color to make it more just alive and not basic.
Yeah. I think with color, okay, I won't say I'm the best at it, but as far as what I do in design, like in user interface and user experience design, like, like, obviously you just need to know, like, okay, well, of course you got your complementary colors, your secondary complementary colors, then you got your triadic color schemes, then you got your analogous color schemes. Oh, but I'm not just saying.
None of which I actually know. I just sit down and color.
Oh yeah, but it's good to like at least understand like a bit of the science, because like when you play around with colors, like there's the stuff that you learn from reading other people's posts and the stuff that you like learn by actually doing it yourself. Like for instance, it's like when you use when you use complementary colors, usually it's not enough that they're complementary. If they're complementary, you need to make the other one darker so that the other one pops up. So it's kind of like you're adding more layers to contrast, because you know how like this low contrast, high contrast. It's the same. Imagine like, let's say it's a shot, right? Your character is wearing red and maybe the background is green. So maybe you could make the background darker. The background is also out of focus, and you make sure the character. So like literally, like the sharper the contrast, the more the person pops out.
Yeah, I never used to like even notice all of that stuff before, but now I really try my best to watch out for all the little things when I'm watching a movie or something else, because there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Yeah, I would recommend, there's this YouTube channel called Studio Binder. I think in terms of there's like a lot of like channels, like Studio Binder is so good that even like my film instructor, this dude called Rory Kalela, this guy worked on like a number of Hollywood films, notably this cult classic sci-fi movie called Dark City. It was directed by Alex Proyas, like the dude who did iRobot.
Okay.
What's it called?
I've heard of Dark City from you, I think.
Yeah. But Alex Proyas also did iRobot. He also did Knowing, that Nicolas Cage movie, and also did called Gods of Egypt, which I shall not mention again because really that bad.
Gods of Egypt was interesting.
But generally speaking, Studio Binder, like out of all the like, there are some channels that are good, like film YouTube channels, but in terms of breaking down and making you understand why someone does this or why, that's one of the best. Like it really breaks it down. There's no bullshit. They literally explain, hey, this is why they're using a high angle shot, this is why they're using a low angle shot, this is why they're using a wide shot, or they're using a dirty single or over the shoulder shot. Like they pretty much break it down. And after I'll send you like a link to the channel, but after you go through it, you have like a concrete, you understand the why behind like the choice of shots, other than you look.
Yeah, I remember. I think if you've ever watched a show called Mr. Robot.
Yeah, I know you've a hard on for Mr. Robot.
Yeah. So the director who made that, he likes doing that, like breaking down why he does things. And I remember watching a few of his interviews, and he'd talk about episodes and like talk about why he put this character in this shot. It has this style. Like most times when characters are on shots, they're usually like to the far right or to the far left, and he said that makes the characters look isolated. Like even though they're in a place where there's lots of people or they're talking to another person, if you kind of isolate them and you put them in like the corner of the screen, they seem more alone and disconnected. And I was like, what? Who even thinks about this stuff?
Yeah.
And then when you go back and watch, you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like one of those industry things. Like for the audience, they don't need to know like how the sausage is made, but as you should know that if you do this, the sausage will have an effect. Like when the audience actually consumes the meal. So it's important to understand the hows and whys, because like especially with those high level guys, because I'm pretty sure you're self-taught, right, as an artist, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you had gone to like the art school that I always praise and I have a hard on over is Art Center College of Design, which is super expensive, but a lot of monsters in terms of
they come out of that.
So trust me, anyone who's working on a big film or big whatever has come from like not everyone, because you have like what's his name, Ryan Meandering, he's like the creative lead for the Marvel movies. He didn't come from, I don't think he went to Art Center, I could be mistaken, but but anyways, like he's like, a few exceptions, but generally most people come from Art Center East. What's his name, Ross Draws? Yeah, he went to Art Center. And work, the Art Center is producing monsters. Because the thing about Art Center, it's not because I know like most people when they go to uni or go to college, they think they're gonna go have sex
even though that is true.
Yeah, but Art Center is not like it's like our version of a mission school. Like mission schools, like intense and people study and they get destroyed.
It feels like you're implying that a mission school doesn't have any of that.
No, I'm pretty sure it does, but for the most part, like it's pretty intense. Because my sister went to school, and she said it's pretty intense. They're very focused on learning. Of course, you have moments of relief and reprieve, but Journey Art Center is like a boot camp for art. They're there to destroy you, like destroy you. If you thought you were good, you go there, and industry professionals, guys have worked on The Lord of the Rings or Jurassic Park, they'll just shit on you until you're better.
Yeah,
that's basically what you're going through.
That's the method.
Yeah, so basically they go through like rigorous training. They know about like layout, design, composition, drawing. Like I remember I was reading, like, there's this artist called John Park. Was it? Oh, Andy Park. So basically, like within a week, right, they would have 5 studio lectures, and each lecture would require for them to produce 100 sketches to be submitted.
100?
Yes. So meaning that within a month, they would produce 500 quality sketches.
Whoa.
And if it's not up to point, you'd probably fail your class, and after you take it again.
That's insane.
Yeah. It's
kind of like animating, except you aren't animating.
yeah. So what was I trying to? No, I was trying to say like those guys, they kind of go through being forced to learn these things that initially they're annoyed by because they think that they're being tortured by the instructors, but in actual fact they're being made to understand all the necessary things that they need to learn. And surprisingly, unless if you're a superstar, if you're like maybe someone who just managed to coast by, you'll graduate and you'll struggle to get a job even though you went through that.
I think that has to be the worst part.
Yeah, like you suffer and you think that maybe you land a job.
You're just gonna get a pass, and then
but then you have to wait like 6 months. So it's like learning never stops. Like
it never does.
Yeah, because like if you're obsessed with your art, that means that someone else is obsessed with their art. So you're competing with other people who are obsessed. So, means that shit is real.
It
to continue
kind of makes you not want to sleep.
Yeah,
because then you're like, okay, if I sleep, I know that guy's not sleeping.
Yeah, and
he's working.
He's working and he's improving. And if he improves,
Yeah.
that he's more hireable than me, and I'm lagging behind. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to, like, what's it called? Maybe not flattening the curve, but get above that curve, the difficulty curve. It's important to for yourself. But after a while, especially when you're now concerned about health, you need to chill.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a certain level of quality that you just need. You be kind of okay. You can improve bit by bit. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what they go through. But it's still possible, even if you're self-taught. And I'm pretty sure you're living proof that you're getting better, day by day.
Yeah.
So who are your? Sorry, you can continue. I interrupted you.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say, as long as I keep getting better, I think I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I'll get better until I'm good enough to do what I need to do.
All right. So now, which makes me wonder, what's your overall goal, with your art? Do you wanna because right now you said you're making money from animation.
Yeah.
So do you wanna what? Do you wanna be an animator? You are an animator, but do you wanna be work at a studio? Or do you want to do comics, or do you want to do something that's the most profitable? Because you never know. Probably go where the money.
Well, mainly I want to be an animator. That's what I mainly want to do.
Okay.
Because I think back when I started getting serious with comics, being an animator wasn't an option.
Okay.
So, but I think it was always at the back of my mind that that's the ultimate goal, to be an animator, one day create your own show. I think that's my goal, my personal goal. But professionally, I want to be an animator, but I also don't want to stop making comics, because as great as animation is, you can get a story out quicker if you make a comic.
Yeah.
And I think there's still a lot that I need to learn from making comics, that when I often bounce back into animation, I can then apply. I think the two can feed off each other. And I'm not overly concerned about working for a studio. I just wanna make enough to support myself.
Okay.
And as long as I'm making comics or illustrations or animation, I'm good.
Yeah, that's cool. In terms of, we haven't touched upon your family's input or influence or art. Would you say, apart from maybe your health reasons, were they always supportive towards your art?
My parents have always been they kind of let me discover what life is like, and I really appreciate them for that, because even though I am sick, if you're sick and then they coddle you, it kind of I don't know if this is going to sound negative, but it kind of makes you weak. And
being coddled makes you weak, definitely.
Yeah. And I think they made it a point to just not do that. So when I would say that I want to do this or I want to do that, they would just let me do it. And when it would fail, they would advise me to try something else. So when I settled on this art thing, when I was sure that this is what I want to do, they were just okay, see how it goes. And when I got the job that I mentioned earlier, working for the church in the US, I think that's when they realized that, okay, this can actually go somewhere if you apply yourself, which you have. So yeah, they've just been really supportive.
That's cool. I know that your sister is also an artist, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they all are.
Oh, everyone's an artist in your family.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's crazy. My youngest sibling, my brother, he's 6.
Yeah.
He makes like a comic every day. I kid you not. And he, at the end of the day, or like at the end of each hour, he's excited to show me a page he's just drawn, and it's exhausting.
Wow. So is he like the next Kim Jong-ji?
I'm pretty sure if he keeps drawing every day, he's gonna become legendary.
Yeah,
because
like,
he draws every day.
Wow.
And it's very strange how he does it too. He takes like an A5 page and divides it into like 8 or 10 equal boxes, and those are his panels. So his panels are that small.
Yeah.
And he could be like, I'm gonna draw a fight, and then he draws a fight using 10 panels a page. And then at the end of the day, he's drawn like maybe 50 panels, and I'm like, that's crazy. I wasn't doing that at 6. At 6, I was just doing stick figures.
Yeah. Also, like the actual drawings have got like a bit of like fidelity to them. They're not just like, oh, this was drawn by a 6-year-old.
They are drawn by a 6-year-old, but
they don't look like that.
He's definitely better than other 6-year-olds.
Oh, okay.
That's what I can tell from what he's doing. And he likes watching me animate, so I think he thinks he's animating because it looks like he's doing different frames on each panel, and I'm just like, where does he get the energy to do this, man?
Yeah, family of animators, huh? Yeah. Carrying the angling. And then they surpass you. Like, oh my word! I mean, which is cool. I mean, if you get them whilst they're young, and motivate. So like by the time he's like 12 or 15, he'll be a monster. And then you end up having okay, do you know that studio called Industrial Lights and Magic? Yeah, heard about it recently. The guys who did like Star Wars and a lot of big movies. Like getting there is like a big deal, especially if you can get there when you're young. It's like there are cases of like artists who get there when they're like 19 or 20.
Wow.
Unheard of, because for you to even like, usually you have to be like 30 plus for you to get high. Yeah. When I say 30 plus, I'm not saying like in terms of your age, in terms of your skill level. Yeah. So like you have guys who are like at the level of 30-year-old artists who are like really seasoned.
Yeah, I think with the way like technology and culture is really changing, like artists are becoming better, quicker,
and the standard is higher.
Yeah, because they have all these resources.
Yeah, they can watch tutorials, they can learn about value, they can learn about shading.
Yeah.
Or they can go on someone's Gumroad and you can learn from who drew those characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the barriers to entry are like disappearing. But I also think it's a double-edged sword. Because it means that now, because when the standards are raised, right, that means it's now harder for you to stand out. Because people are pretty good.
Look at Webtoons. I think the first time I started uploading on Webtoons, it would be low-key depressing because you would just be like, okay, who's gonna read my comic? There's like a million stuff here.
Actually,
Man.
you haven't really touched on your comics. You just focused on your growth and progression as an artist. Okay. How many comic books do you have? Like stories that you have that are published on Webtoons?
Published on Webtoons, I have 3.
Okay.
3 different ones.
Quick question for you. I remember reading one of your comics that you published, but then out of the blue you just cancelled your own series out of the blue. Like, what's up with that? Like, you create stuff and you just cancel them. Like, what kind of madman does this? Usually the editor's the one that cancels it. Like, you just feel like the editor was like, no, this is garbage. I need like 5 or
I was my own editor, so I was just like, this isn't working, man. Just pull it.
But it was you pull it.
You're talking about Mutubo, right?
Yeah.
So when I started Mutubo, I was always planning for it to be temporary because I wanted to do Salt Light. I think you know that one as well.
Yeah.
But the Salt Light story it's very personal. So I was like, I want to do this when my art is better. So I think I'm gonna start with something I don't really care about. So literally one day, so literally one day I had a dream about the Mutubo concept, and I just woke up and I wrote it down. I started making the comic. It was just very spontaneous. I didn't even realize that people would like it so much. So I was actually surprised with the response I got, because I canceled it and everyone was like, yo, what's up?
What about Fatso? What about that one?
Fatso, what happened with Fatso is, since we only have conventions.
That's a weird name, though.
I mean, it's kind of like a double entendre, because his name is Farai, and like from our younger days, people called Farai, they were called Fatso, and he's fat, so Fatso. It made sense. So since we have like conventions once a year, I needed like a story that was like catchy, that I would continue whenever I wanted to continue, or even do like an annual thing. So that's when I had the idea for Fatso, and I added him to the Engrave anthology. So yeah, the good thing about an anthology is you can have like many self-contained stories. So yeah.
Alright, that's cool. And then you have your other story, it's called Mvuri, right?
Yeah, Mvuri, that's the latest one.
Okay, the one where that like draws inspiration from Bleach.
Yeah.
That one's pretty cool. I like the whole the old anime weeb grandfather. I don't know what was he watching. What was he watching? Like the 60s anime?
No,
the generation. I went through the 60s, 70s, 90s. He was just an ordinary old man, but his granddaughter, when she was a kid, was really into anime, so bonded over that. Alright, that's cool.
So, yeah.
I'll probably leave like links to all your works in the description for this podcast. So anyone who's like listening via YouTube will be able to get the links. If
they want to read unfinished stories.
It's okay. The more motivation for you to continue. Maybe you can grab
Yeah.
Patreon and then they'll like pay you to finish.
Yeah.
Pay me to continue something I do not want to continue.
You know, with Mutubo, I actually decided that one day I will have to just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like make a huge one shot and just put it to bed.
Yeah. All right, that's nice, man. Okay, so I guess I got a few, well, not too many, like a few questions. Then we'll wrap this up. So,
Okay.
in terms of like your art style, who's like your major influence?
3 people.
Okay.
Kubo, the creator of Bleach.
Yeah. Is show which offered promise, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this character designer called Phil Barasa.
Phil Barasa.
Yeah, he's the one who does the character design for Young Justice and most of the DC animated movies in like the last 10 years.
Okay. Because I know it's like literally if let's say someone wanted to like throw you into their pipeline and just fit in. So yeah, it looks like like us. Let's hire.
Yeah. And the third one would be Mark Crilly.
Mark Crilly.
Because when I became serious about comics, I needed a teacher. So, you know, I didn't have school, so I just went on YouTube and his videos, really helpful.
Okay. Even though Mark Crilly is mostly focused on manga, but he also
talks about he talks about even writing and storytelling in general.
Yeah.
So really helpful.
All right, cool.
And also in the sense that I think he's been an artist. I think he's like in his 50s now, and he's been maybe even I think he's in his 50s. Yeah, I know he's over 50. So basically, I think he's been an artist for maybe 20 or 30 years, and he's been doing that all this time. And so on top of like teaching me like the tricks of the trade, there's also believing that you can actually make a living out of this if you work hard enough.
Yeah,
you do this and that. So he really inspired me.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that Mark really had an impact on you, because I was expecting maybe you're gonna drop more, Western comic artists, but then again,
no,
looks like the DC animated
Western comic book artists. I only started noticing maybe in the last year or so. There's this guy called Dexter Soy. Who used to do he used to do Red Hood and the Outlaws.
Oh yeah, is that
the Rebirth one?
The overly sexualized Starfire?
I did it have Starfire?
I think Starfire like appeared in one of the issues.
Yeah, the one before Rebirth had Starfire, and then the one after Rebirth had this Amazonian.
Okay, so did he draw the one before?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay, so he's the one who did the over-sexualized Starfire.
I'm not sure if he's the one who started with it, but I know he's handled the book before. I don't think he's the one who started with it, but before DC did its Rebirth, he was on the book.
Because I know like the way she was drawn would make feminists and SJWs lose their shit. She looked like a porn star, to be quite honest.
Well, In that case, I don't think it's him. I thought you
Okay.
just meant like the way he draws his proportions. He's really good.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll check him out. Just his name is Dexter. What?
Dexter Soy.
Dexter Soy, like soy boy.
Yeah,
So the soy boy.
or soybeans.
Yeah, soy boy art here. All right, cool. Anyways, I'm about to run out of time, so I'll probably want to wrap this up. So I'll ask you like the final question. So
Okay. Is it controversial?
it's not controversial. This is more like for me. I'm not getting hard.
Okay.
So I know you're still developing as an artist, and I'm pretty sure by the time this year ends, maybe the coronavirus won't be as intense. Who knows? Maybe it'll be worse. Maybe people will be dropping like flies. Maybe
we'll have zombies.
yeah, people will be like coughing at each other and spreading the virus. No, but I'm pretty sure you're still in development. You're growing as an artist. You're evolving and getting better and better. But I wanted to find out, who do you want to show appreciation to? Who do you want to thank for the progress you have made in your as an artist and an animator?
Mostly it's people in the Comics Exposed community, other artists. Like Zombie, you had him on before in an interview. Bill Masugu, Tino Makoni. Huh?
Nothing.
And just continue. 2 minutes left.
Okay. Tino Makoni, Tatenda, yeah, they've been really like supportive. Sometimes maybe in ways they don't know.
Okay.
Like they're really good at like all the different things that they do, and I make sure to try to. I'm inspired differently by different things from each of them.
Yeah.
So yeah. But also, there's this guy called Munashe who...
Well, the guy who randomly pops up in the group, but likes to be left alone.
Yeah, he doesn't interact in the group much.
Yeah.
So when I made like my first couple of animations, which were not good by any means last year, he saw them and liked them, and he wanted some work done, and he's been giving me work since December. So from like December up until April, he was like the one person who was giving me animation work. So yeah, like working with him, it's really like improved my game.
Cool, man. Anyways,
I'd like to, yeah.
We're kind of like near the end. So
yeah, I'm done with my shout outs now. Okay,
yeah, your final shout out, because we're running out of time.
Oh, I'm saying I'm done with them.
Oh, you're
like,
done. All right.
Everyone else knows themselves.
Yeah. Cool. So anyways, thank you everybody for listening to the Banda Ngundu podcast. No BJ here. In the end,
it's BJ and the anime prophet signing out. See?
Yeah. And so yeah, thank you, and I hope everyone managed to benefit or learn from this episode. So yeah, this is it from me and the rest of the crew. Yeah. So good night.
Peace.